Welcome to Susie's Enchanted Crossroads, a podcast that helps you navigate your journey through the crossroads. I'm Susie, and together we will be taking a deeper look into witchcraft and spirituality. So settle in, and let's get this episode going. Welcome back, gorgeous soul. All right, I'll be straight up honest with you. I'm recording this on the Scorpio full moon. Sorry, my chair is awfully loud. And drinking my iced coffee. And normally I would be so freaking excited, and I am excited. So excited for the moon, especially the Scorpio moon. I myself am a Scorpio moon, okay? I love it. I love the depth. I love the thought of we're gonna be pushing and you have to force that death for that rebirth. And trust me when I say this, to push me out of my comfort level, my little safe little box, my little inner circle of peace. And no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, that was really hard for me. So if you're on the struggle bus right now and you're listening to this, you're not alone in this, okay? Especially with full moons. And I promise you, I am going to drop episodes about working with the moon phases. But when you have a lot of energy, that moon is full, baby, and it is beckoning to you, to us all. And with that Scorpio energy, you're gonna ride them emotions. You really are. So normally, I'd be even more excited. However, surprise, surprise, it's windy here. And I'm not talking about, oh, it's just a little breeze, a little gust here. No, y'all. What the fuck? I'm so over. Why can't we just take care of our planet? W- Why can't we just take care of our planet? Global warming is obviously a thing. And let me tell you, I'm used to having these crazy dust storms, these crazy windstorms here, but they've never lasted this long. We're already in May. Like, we should be done with this shit. Usually, we have a lot of these winds in March and April, and then we're done. Hello, where's the rain? Like, and usually it doesn't really rain here. It's like a spit, but there's been zero rain. And it is so annoying. And I was going to record something else today, which, I'm also equally excited, but I noticed like my irritation. And it could be the moon, it could be, the full moon Scorpio, because whatever, right? I'm a Scorpio, maybe I'm really feeling it. And when I posted on my threads, tell me what this full moon in Scorpio is giving. And I freaking love it. And to be very honest, I forget I have threads, so I never really post. And what's on there is just taken from my Instagram, right? And I just I got hit with that and I was like, "Oh, let's post that." And I'm getting amazing feedback. I love hearing from y'all. And as I was sitting here getting ready to record a totally different episode, which is going to drop next week anyway, I was like, I sat and I was like, where's my magic? This full moon in Scorpio is giving, okay, you got this and you pissed off. What are you going to do about it? Continue to bitch? Yeah, I can continue to bitch and complain. I can because it's so easy to be in the negative, right? It's so easy to go negative. It's so easy to complain. It's very easy to get down on yourself and make the excuses even though deep down you know you could do something about it. You can. You really can. Sometimes it's setting a boundary. Other times it's speaking up for yourself, utilizing that throat chakra. And this time for me, I had to dig a little deeper. I use this platform to do what? Hello, to help other people, to help other witches on their journey, to help those that are curious about spirituality, guiding them here. Whether you are brand spanking new to this or you are a seasoned witch practitioner, I'm here to offer a fresh perspective or bring insight. Hell, most of the time I'm learning too. And I sat and out here, right? And I had just done a tarot reading for a client because if you don't know this on my social media, I'll have story sales. So basically, I'll put little sales on my Instagram story. I'll post on TikTok, but unless y'all help me get to like 1,000 followers, I can't put links on there. And I'm 200 shy, so go follow me. But if I'm here to utilize my voice that way, what's calling to me right now? And as much as I'm just like freaking wind, because that's all we say here, like it's freaking windy again. My damn allergies. Dust is fucking everywhere. And you know, dust is so bad, like for electronics. And it's so bad for my allergies. What else can I do? So I did my reading for a client, right? Because it's a special full moon reading. And they had received a card, and I was like, did the whole reading, but then, we were done, closed out the circle. And as I'm looking at my laptop, I'm like, hmm, what are some magical fucking properties of the desert? Because I'm fed up and I live here. I live here. What are the magical properties of the wind? Like truly, I already know that wind brings in the change, right? Winds bring in change. And wind can also take whatever is burdening you, whatever you want to get rid of and banish. The wind can take that and literally blow that crap away from you. And it's so fitting that we have that element of the wind, those magical properties that I already know off the top of my head on a full moon in the sign of Scorpio. And so I almost felt like I was in The Office, that show The Office, where I'm like, Where's the camera?" And just kind of deadpan the camera, like, seriously, you know what I mean? Like, wah wah. And so I just did some quick research. I'm gonna be 100% transparent because it happened in real time. So come with me on this journey. These notes are very, very raw. Mm, because I thought I was gonna be talking about another topic that'll drop next week that I'm equally excited about. But yeah, let's do freaking wind, weather, desert, dusty sand magic. Oh my God. Okay. So there is weather magic. You can use weather magic. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the wind, right? We're going to be talking about wind magic. But there's obviously a bunch of different storms that we have, right? We have wind, like I said, we have rain that we know, lightning, thunder. Going a little bit more, we have like tornadoes, which, in my area, we really don't get tornadoes, but where my sister lives in Texas, obviously there was tornadoes all the time. Hurricane, snowstorms, and it when we're utilizing the weather magic, we're harnessing that storm magic. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. I know about using the elements of like rain or storms, especially when you're going to go out there and collect either snow, and use the element of that snow magic, snowstorms, um, getting the snow and you're melting it, and then you have that beautiful snowstorm snow melted, down, and it's magic. Or freezing it right away. I've done that before to harness and use that in your magical practice or in spell work. And same with like rainwater. And sometimes you get those beautiful, nice, um, it just gently rains all day, and then you get those torrential rains, and you utilize those both water. If you're collecting the rain, right, the rainwater, you're utilizing those two in very different ways because the gentle rain has different water, has different energy than the torrential freaking, it was hailing or, lightning storm, it's different. That energy is different. So since I'm sick and tired of the wind and I'm trying to spin it in a way where I can feel a little bit more magical in my practice, let's get down to understanding windstorms. Okay. Um, So storm magic itself, as I was reading, is very, very fascinating because you're harnessing, right, all those incredible energies of the storm. And today, yes, we're talking about wind, but like I said, you have lightning, thunder, and rain, snow, et cetera, et cetera. But to connect, for you as a witch or a practitioner, to connect with nature's raw power and using that in your ritual can really bring your magic, giving it energy and giving it life. So even if you're not collecting anything at all, you're not collecting snow, you're not collecting water or whatever, you can still utilize that storm magic with the elements in your craft. Because I mean, you need to be safe first of all, right? You're not going to go out there in a lightning storm trying to collect lightning in a bottle. No, but you're engaging in that in your practice, utilizing that energy, right? Where you're safe. So, like I said today, I do want to just tap into winds, but at its core, storm magic is about tapping into the elemental forces linked to the storms. The storms provide potential energy and it's potent, it's heavy. There's so much in it because it's nature. How many times have I told y'all to just go outside, let the sun literally hit your skin for at least a minute so that you can recharge, or go hug a tree or at least touch a tree, stand outside barefoot in the dirt or in the grass if you can. So this potent energy is a source that can lead you to very significant transformations in your life, especially if you're trying to manifest something, if you're trying to banish something, you're trying to set a boundary, a goal for yourself. And a storm changes what is around them, right? The landscape, the environment, whatever is around. And it clears out anything that either wasn't meant to be or wasn't strong enough, didn't have a strong foundation. That's the raw power. So, yes, for myself, the wind is annoying because it's kicking up a lot of the dirt that's around here, right? The dirt and the dust, and it's an aggravation. However, the wind is also clearing out the air. It's pushing in a new system. So the desert is blissfully hot, right? It's blistering, not blissfully, blistering hot. And to get just a breeze it's like, oh, thank goodness, it's relief, right? So when we have these huge windstorms, as much as I hate it, because there's dirt everywhere, it is bringing a change. Now, have I been utilizing it? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have not. One, because I'm not going to be outside in this dirt storm. Nobody can. It's miserable, right? You got dirt hitting you in all directions, getting in your eye, getting in your ears, and every freaking crevice, let me tell you. And also my allergies. So as I'm talking, I can feel myself getting a little bit more nasalier and I can feel like there's dirt in my throat. So it's an aggravation. But as a witchy poo, This is where I wanted to spin things. Okay, how can I use this to my advantage? How can I use this extra powerful, raw, natural energy for what I need? So let's do it. Do you see like I'm just like, oh, because I can feel myself getting congested. It's like I got to take allergy pills every day. And if you're in my area, if you know, you know. But you know what? Ay, ay, ay. Okay, here we go. So here's what I put down in my notes. Weather magic begins truly with the wind. So, have you seen the movie Twister or Twisters? You know when it's like that eerie time, it gets really, really quiet, and you just see the trees moving back and forth, you know, and you just can sense something is coming, something is going to hit, and it begins with the wind. And obviously, the wind is the element of air. And the wind as a scientific phenomenon, it's the air pressure. I don't know what I was trying to write here. It's a little scribbly. But anyway, the wind, okay, specifically the air pressure responds to the temperature that is fluctuating, right? Within our earth. And that's why I'm like, can we just take care of our Mother Earth? The wind also carries fragrances, and we're looking light at this, right? Airborne creatures like birds and bees and butterflies and moths. Magically, it can blow in messages or blow them out. Okay, there's inspiration that we can call in, okay, to be blown to us. Um, And this is where we can actually take our intention and set it free in the wind. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself because I know I wrote that down here and that is not here. Okay. So there's a bunch of different, obviously, deities that are associated with the wind, and some winds carry the change with them. Remember the winds of change. That I know. And it swirls them, it rattles them in, and sometimes it's that restlessness. So I want to take this. It's not just a mere breeze that's coming in. This is like the winds that are just beckoning for change. And if I'm looking at this with the lens of the Scorpio full moon, it's like it's beckoning for you to release what doesn't serve you anymore. And that can be something that you're doing to yourself, like a limiting belief or that imposter syndrome or even that self-pity. It could be setting a boundary and finally saying no, or maybe even finally saying yes to something. So when I'm hearing the wind, especially at night, and I used to be a dead ass heavy sleeper, and now every little thing wakes me up, but I feel like I'm just more in tuned now. And I can remember, this wasn't so long ago, we had our last windstorm, but like I can just hear the howling of the wind. And I can hear it hitting against the house and hitting against the window. And it's like I'm also feeling restlessness with the energy around. So it's almost like that psychic sense belongs in the wind or is floating in the wind. And if you think about it, the wind going in between worlds through that thin veil, right? Because a veil is thin, and that wind is really blowing between our world and maybe the other world. That's what was like, huh, that made me stop and go, interesting. The wind is swirls between worlds, swirls between lives, and maybe even different timelines or eras. Can you imagine that? And then I start thinking of throw caution to the wind. Just have faith. And you know what that reminds me of? The Fool card in tarot. Throw caution to the wind. Take a chance. Have faith. And then I also thought, if I'm thinking that the wind can swirl between worlds and between lives, I started thinking of when people pass, right, onto the next realm, onto their next life, the next step in their journey, right, when they're no longer physically with us. And some people throw their ashes out into the wind, scattering them, whether it's in a body of water or whatnot, but they throw the ashes to the wind. When we burn our intention on a bay leaf or on a piece of paper, what do? You take it outside and you throw it up in like in the air, like you just don't care, and hope that the wind and the universe take it so that it is now out of your hands. And if it's good for you, that manifestation will begin to do its thing. Because now you're allowing the universe to handle it, to take control. So there I'm like, okay, that I can get behind. I have here where I read significant encounters or souls moving dimensions are often heralded by a weird slap or swirl of wind. Like all of a sudden, there's just wind right there. There are 1,000 classic texts detailing wind deities like Aura, the personification of the breeze, but most direct route to wind magic. Hell yeah. So let me see what else do I have here. That was like the most, I was like, okay, I do like this. Winds of change, throwing caution to the wind, wind be going between realms. I like it. So how can we take this a little bit further? Now, I do want to try this. And if you try this at home, I want you to tell me about it. I got all the links in the show notes. You got my social media. Hit me up. Just drop me a line and tell me what happened. Give the wind your name. And you can do so for love to find it, giving your name out or finding out what you want to bring in. I like that. So that way, either if, especially if you're a small business, either your name, the company name, the store name, you give it to the wind, and so that it carries it out to people to hear and to find you. Mhm. Now, please throw caution to that wind just a little bit. And I wonder if I'm using that right now. Real time. Because when I do things like that, or this, right? I I want to be surrounded, obviously, by protection magic because I don't want anyone. And it's not that I don't want any random client, right? I will help whoever needs it, but also whoever is willing as well. Because let me tell you, like, especially being a tarot reader, Reiki master, like all of those things, you'll still get people in the comments wanting. Sorry, I was looking at a tarot card. Being skeptical is okay, but being a curious skeptic, not being an asshole skeptic, right? I don't want to throw my name out to the wind there, and then all I get is like crazy people, finding my content and then being assholes in the comments. Like, I don't want that. I want to throw my name, or my business name out into the wind for those that are trying to find me that we align together. Our energy is in alignment. So that's what I mean. So, um, what else? Okay, throw, flee, and cast caution to the wind to stop being careful and do something that is dangerous or might result in failure. After thinking about it for years, he finally threw caution to the wind, quit his job, and started his own company. Oh, that's okay. There, I was using it right. Okay. All right. I found that on Webster's Dictionary if y'all want to look it up because I didn't want you to be screaming at me through your speakers. Okay. In some ancient cultures, people would write messages, tear them up for privacy, because the wind gods would know what was intended and scatter them into the wind, which is what I said, right? You're writing your manifestation or what you want to release, what you want to bring in, either on the bay leaf and you burned it, or maybe if you can't burn things, you put them on a paper and you ripped it up and you threw it out into the wind. Um, what else? Okay, so those were those notes. Okay, so now let's get into the desert stuff. And maybe you don't live in the desert. Maybe where you're living, there's just luscious grass and a field and trees that the leaves change color with the seasons, and there's just a lot of moisture in the air. Good for you. I don't got that here. So, I'm gonna take another sip of my iced coffee. But let's get into some desert magic because I'm sick and tired of it. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. And I could hear the wind telling me, well, that's too damn bad. Son of a bitch. Oh, wow. Now, don't get me wrong. The desert can be very, very beautiful. It can be. Whole, I know some of you are like, ugh, not where we live. Yes, I know. Sometimes you gotta look really, really hard. Okay. Now, I'm talking about like desert beauty where it's vast, you have open space, you can feel the mystery, feel the power, okay? Because the desert does offer unique and potent source of magical energy. It really does. I understand that desert magic is rooted in natural elements, even ancient elements, ancient traditions. Okay. I know that when I looked up the spirit of the land here, I understand the indigenous roots that are here. I know that I can tap into the raw power here, especially as I have a connection to this land. I have an inherent magic that I know. Now, it's hard to see it in the damn city. Okay. That I do get. That's where I do struggle. One second. Whew. And we're back. Nothing like a little dust to really wake up that throat chakra. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Where was I? Essence of desert magic. So I'm not saying that I don't like the desert. It is beautiful. It does have beautiful properties, but sometimes I miss the water. I really do. I miss when I didn't live here and I was surrounded by lush and green and water. But there's beauty wherever you are, wherever you take those steps, wherever you lay your head, wherever you flutter your eyes open, there's beauty. There really is, and there is magic. It's just utilizing and looking at that magic. And sometimes you got to be like the hangman in tarot. You got to look at it from a different perspective. And, you know, sometimes that's really difficult, especially if you're in the city and you can't really connect with nature. So, how can you connect with something if it's not around you and you really don't have access? That I get. So, where I'm coming from. is trying to find the essence of this desert magic, okay? And utilizing specific energies and materials found in desert landscapes to perform my spells and my rituals and the divination. The desert is harsh, y'all. It's a rough environment. There are extreme conditions, right? And just like anywhere, right? That could be said for anywhere, but excuse me, to create a powerful sense of magic that is both grounding and transformative, just like this full moon in Scorpio, that's where I want us to all practice that, to emphasize a deep connection, not only to the earth, but to the natural world around us and harnessing that element. No matter where you are, whether you're in the desert like myself or somewhere that's really lush, I get extreme hot, you might have extreme cold. So we need to utilize what is around us. And now it's taking me from a negative mindset and pushing to what am I missing here? There is something that's calling out to me in these winds. And instead of ignoring it and instead of, being upset about it, because what is that going to do? Make the wind stop? I wish. No. I need to harness the elements of the sun, of the sand, of the wind to achieve a magical goal that may be beckoning to me, might be beckoning to you. So, as far as desert magic, what do we got? Sun and heat. Lots of sun and heat. Okay, so we have solar energy. I know we're talking a lot about lunation, right? The lunar energy, but the desert sun is is very powerful. And yes, it's life-giving and it can be very, very transformative. Shoot, here I can make some mean sun tea, easy, and harness that solar energy. Practitioners do use sunlight in spells and rituals to bring in clarity. Obviously, right? It's shining through. Illumination, it is brightening up that place, right? And purification. You can even use or call in solar deities, especially for rituals performed at either sunrise or sunset. And honestly, I'm not a morning person, but because I have to wake up early for my job, there is a beauty in the sunrise, but man, are the sunsets here gorgeous. And when you just have those beautiful, deep, rich colors hitting against our mountain, ooh, baby, yeah, that hits. That's where I'm like, oh, beautiful. And same with the sunrise. The sunrise is also equally beautiful. where we where we have really like those light purples and pinks and it's almost like a beautiful light tie-dye in the sky. Another thing associated with desert magic is fire. Yeah, that intense heat of the desert, very symbolic of fire. And what is fire? It's a purifying element. Very, very, very transformative. Obviously, you can think of the phoenix, right? Set on fire. When it passes, it's turned to ash, but then it is reborn. So the fire magic in the desert can involve actual flames, like bonfires. There's a lot of bonfires in the desert. Or like a simple candle ritual. And honestly, even easier, especially if you're in the desert, just the heat of the sun. And let me tell you, you can really get that heat when you get into your car in the height of summer. When those seats be burning the hell out of your skin. Yeah, you can, it's like fire. That is purification. That is transformation. But you know what else you can use it for? Protection. All right, here we go. Earth and the sand. This is where I needed it. Sand. So, sand. is apparently the desert's most abundant resource. Like, no shit. Honestly, like we get these torrential sandstorms. I'm like, how is there so much dirt? I live in a pretty well-established neighborhood. Where does it come from? That's enough. Um, but sand can be used to create protective circles. Duh. I didn't even, honestly, some of these things I'm like, and you don't think this way, but this is what I came to mind. You're so stupid. Susie, like you didn't think of that, bro? But why? Because I was in a negative mindset. That's why. Duh. Obviously. If I'm just bitching and complaining about the wind bringing all this dirt, I'm not thinking about what the dirt can actually do to serve me. So, yes, protective circles. You can draw sigils. You can even use it as an ingredient for a spell jar or a charm bag. Um, but the properties that are associated with this is grounding, stability, but this one was a new one. The passage of time. How beautiful is that? The passage of time. Because then I started looking into rocks and crystals, obviously, right? If you know me. And I know that the desert is home to really, really unique rocks and minerals, such as quartz and jasper. And these are treasures that are very, very just deeply incorporated for desert magic. There's also desert rose that I have. Desert roses, yeah, easy. It's a type of selenite. I didn't know that. I had to look it up. But yeah, I have a desert rose crystal and it's used for clarity and insight. And for some of these, especially when you're looking at canyons, right, which I won't get it into too much here, but that is a passage of time. That is the wind bringing in, this dirt that constantly hits this spot and just these beautiful rock formations begin. And then we have desert plants. They are fucking resilient. You gotta be. This desert is not for the weak. Because, yeah, it's hot as hell during the day, but at night it can get very, very cold. So obviously we have cacti, sagebrush, and yucca. I wanted to say like three things at the same time. And they hold powerful magic. hmm Besides it being resilient, it's also very protecting and very healing. Sage, especially, right? We hear about sage all the time. There are different types of sage. I know we talk about white sage being, part of a close practice, but also it's not being harvested correctly. But it is used for cleansing properties, right? And used in ritual. Animal spirits for sure in this desert environment, like lizards and snakes. And we were just talking about coyotes the other day, and they can be seen as very powerful spirit guides. We have roadrunners, armadillos, um, all of these have the quality of adaptability and survival. Very transformative. And they invoke that desert magic. And you can use those energies as part of your trait or part of a spell that you need. Let me see what else did I read. So if you're gonna do sun rituals, you can do sun infused water. Like I said, I make a mean sun tea. You can just even put your water out like on a windowsill and charge it with the solar water and, drink from it straight up. You can ask for solar blessings at dawn or dusk. Now here we go. For sand divination, um, you can practice, and I don't know if I can. I know I can do this, but I don't know if I will do this. But you can practice where patterns in the sand is red. So people used to do this. They would look at, you know, the lines in the sand from where the wind actually made the lines and the patterns in the sand, and people would actually read them to gain insight and answers. So, as a practitioner, we can actually scatter some sand on the surface, which obviously we have an abundance of, and we can start interpreting the shapes and lines that form and using our intuition to derive some meaning and some guidance from it. So, since I do have a bunch, maybe I will start that on my journey. Now, here's something I obviously didn't think of, but a desert altar. So we can create a desert altar. It's usually common practice if you use desert magic, but you can set up these altars outside because you're using the natural elements like rocks and sand and maybe some desert plants. And you can use this as a sacred space for meditation or your spell work or connection to the desert spirits and deities. And since everything belongs out there anyway, you don't got to worry about things getting messed up unless you're putting things out there that, like a candle or anything like that. But using the natural parts of the desert in your desert altar, I think would be just the bee's knees. Okay. Protection and cleansing. So because the desert is pretty harsh, right? The environment is pretty rough. You can really utilize that for your protection and cleansing rituals. So you can use desert sage or you can use those protective sand circles. You can ask desert deities or spirits for safeguarding yourself as you're coming to and from places. Um, you can actually, sorry, I'm using a lot because I feel like I have my throat's starting to get really dry with this wind. These these rituals help shield the practitioners from negativity and promote spiritual clarity. So if you are feeling very sluggish and low, you can actually ask the wind as it blows if you can utilize that energy to blow, using that wind to blow away any negative or stagnant energy within your energetic body. So I actually love that 100%. Even like cleansing it around your property. What else do I got here? Desert rituals already went over. Just things that we can do, obviously workshops and gatherings. Using, and here's what I have used, and this is not just for desert, but just in general, having your plants be a protective energy for you. So you can actually, have your cacti and they protect the energy around your home. Or if you have a cacti by your front door, it's going to catch, negative energy is going to catch in its little thorns or whatnot. That way it doesn't penetrate through your house or around you. So really utilizing the plant magic for that. Da 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 da. Okay, now I'm gonna get into like a nice little segue of thorns. The thorns are excellent for protection magic. So looking for thorns in the natural plants, just like you would like with the rose bush, you can do that with the cacti. Flowers also are an amazing tool to use, especially in native plants. We have poppy season here, and it's so beautiful because it's right on the mountain. So people come from all over to look at the poppies bloom. And it's just a magical thing to see, as I said, because we don't get a lot of greenery and a lot of color here. So using that because for something so beautiful to bloom in and it being just so gentle and tender, even in a harsh environment, you can still bloom those beautiful parts of yourself. Quartz. Oh my gosh, quartz is such an abundant mineral on Earth. Okay, and the desert is rich with it. So it'd be a great choice for amplifying your intention. So especially if you're going to use like a circle, protective circle, or even like your sigils, ooh, would be so amazing. Feathers. Oh my gosh, well, I don't see so many feathers, but feathers also can be collected. Keeping in mind you cannot legally even touch any feather from a protected species, okay? So please be mindful, especially if you're around any tribal areas. Some are closer than others, but just, be mindful. But finding that can be used as the element of air in any of your spiritual work. And here's what I found, a prickly pear cactus. This abundant native cactus is an amazing choice for kitchen witchery as the pads and fruits of the most species can be consumed. These are drought tolerant plants and are perfect for magic acts involving endurance, strength, and longevity. So, yes, we eat nopales here. At first, I didn't care for nopales. You have to cook them just right. I don't cook them, but my daddy does. My dad makes really good nopales. And at first, when he made them, I'm like, no thanks, pass. And he's very like, try it. Just like when he was like, try tripas. And I was like, I don't like the way tripas smell, but everybody eats tripas and they're like, always like, oh, they're so delicious. Ugh, I can't. I cannot. But prickly pear cactuses and eating nopales, very, 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 very good. And now that I can actually put magical intention into it, especially endurance, because right now, y'all, it's coming to the end of the school year. And I know if you're struggling, I'm struggling. And we need that. We're like almost at the finish line. Okay, aloe vera. This plant is in plentiful gardens around my area, and it's best suited for physical and magical healing, obviously, because if you get a sunburn, you put aloe vera on. And it carries a vibration of tranquility and can soothe one for a difficult transition. So if I'm thinking you get a sunburn, if you get a sunburn really bad, what happens to your skin? You start to peel. And it's almost like you're peeling off that nasty layer. So you can think of that. Don't go get a sunburn, but just thinking of the aloe vera plant when you have it around, when you use it, beautiful use of that plant to really soothe you through the transition because transitions are hard. Rebirths are hard. They're not comfortable. And I always go back to thinking about when a caterpillar is in its cocoon and it's literally turning into mush. That cannot feel good. But when it comes all together and it emerges, it's in this beautiful butterfly. But I'm sure that transition is difficult. So that aloe vera, since it has that vibration of tranquility and to soothe, what a beautiful way to utilize that plant. Okay, here's one I didn't know, palo verde. This stunning tree has a multitude of uses. Traditionally, the seed pods were ground into flour and used to make baked goods as well as wine. The flowers and seed pods are excellent for magic involving beauty and positive thinking. I I love that. So that really got me into yes. I can finally like start finding some common ground here with where I live and I won't be so upset, with what I have because like I said, I love when I see like desert photos and videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. It is very breathtaking. It is. It's gorgeous. It's just hard where I'm at right now because like I'm not there, with the gorgeous. I'm here like in my city and it can be very, very difficult. And man, it can be hard on the spirituality because it's like I want to go see that beautiful full moon and I can't because the wind is blowing and it's dusty. So finding these different things that bring out that spirituality, even that woo woo, it's it's gonna help me. And I hope it helps you too, especially because it's harsh weather here. So I I know there's so many beautiful phenomena. Like I know like there's like the singing dunes, and the singing dunes, if you don't know, it is a desert phenomena where the winds they pass over the sand dunes and it causes a singing sound, almost like thinking of singing bowls. And it sounds like a deep hum, right? And it's just produced by tiny grains of sand rolling down the dune. So, yeah, the acoustics, I guess, of the desert make it sound so beautiful, but I don't hear that. I just hear the wind just hitting against my window, and sometimes it drives me nuts. I'm all congested, as you can probably hear the progression of just this episode alone and how it transforms my body. So what can I do? What else can I do to grasp on to some sanity, right? Because man, these are tough conditions. And it really brings me to thinking of just life in general. If I'm noticing the desert and I know that it's rough, right? It has a tough conditions. It's one of the toughest. Isn't that what life is? And life can come with some tough conditions, some very, very even unseen to the naked eye at times, because sometimes we're too close to the picture in order to see what's happening and we got to step away from it. But we live in harsh conditions, and sometimes maybe that's you listening the life that you're living right now, and you're trying your best. If the wind carries change and it's swirling between our lives, how can the wind assist you in your transformation? Maybe the wind is pushing you towards a path, but you're resisting it. And then that's the hard part, right? When you're going against the wind, it's rough. But that's when you lean on your community. And this right here is your community. If you have no one else to talk to, you know you can always reach out to me. But what I'm getting at is when I used to run track and cross country, especially cross country, because we would actually have to go run out into the desert, run through the dunes, right? The sand dunes, and I hated it. Um, and if it was windy, we would draft off each other, right? Because that's what runners do, or if you're a cyclist, and you are depending on your teammate. So even NASCAR, they do it, right? The cars that you're drifting off each other. So the person in front of you, yes, this is the way that you're going, but you need help getting there because it's not going to be easy. So if you're deadpan on going on this path, sometimes the person in front of you is the universe, right? Protecting you from this wind. Or you can see the wind, as a force coming at you, but you're strong-willed and you're going to get through it because you know you have to get to that other side. Whatever you believe in, a higher power, the universe, God, your higher self, angels, spirit guides, ancestors, they're not only in front of you to help you cut through that wind, but they also got your back, gently giving you that gentle push. So it is a beautiful thing. And sometimes we can't see the beauty of the journey, especially when it's hard or when it's difficult or when it's just like an annoyance, like sand in your shoe. Whatever lesson you are learning through this journey, it is obviously molding you. Are we going to fight tooth and nail against it because we don't want to be out of our comfort zone? Or are we going to let things come out a little at a time? Okay. Now, am I going to love the wind tomorrow? Probably not. But I'm not going to hate it 100% like I have been. I can flip the narrative, and so can you. It's just figuring out how you're going to do so and not just sitting at the crossroads, deciding Well, is this the right time? It's not the right time. I don't have enough time. Period. I get you. I just did the last episode on micro routines that you can do. And guess what? I've put nail oil on for 2 straight weeks. Brr, 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 brr. Hell yeah. I'm going to celebrate that because that is a good micro routine that I was able to do. Something added that I needed. I was yearning, I was craving it. It was something that I needed. I'm not saying, oh, damn, girl, you really needed that cuticle oil. It's not that. It's not that I needed the oil. My body's very happy I got the oil. It's just that I needed to take just a step, and it was like the babyest of steps to help me establish a new routine for myself. And I have officially started 1 full week of using my vibration plate and oil pulling in the morning, the first 10 minutes of the morning. Is it rough sometimes? I'm not a morning person, so yeah. Yes, sometimes as we shed our skin, the way a desert lizard does, right? You have to shed. It's not always the most comfortable. It's probably going to be a little itchy, a little uncomfy, but the end result is going to make you beam and shine and just give that delicious stretch. You know, when you get a good stretch and oh, maybe something even pops, like cracks. I don't know, like when you pop your back and it just feels amazing and juicy and good. Yeah. But you got to do the act of stretching first. Yeah, this is a good one. This is a lengthy one. I'm not going to lie. I did not expect this. What a pleasant surprise, to be very honest. And I thank you for coming along this very impromptu journey of a recording of this podcast. Because if you know me by now, you know that I take listener questions, I take polls on my Instagram and from my newsletter when y'all write in and you have a question and I'm like, hell yeah, I like to plan ahead because of how chaotic, how beautiful chaotic my life can be sometimes. But today we both went on a journey of, something is calling out and we might as well use this energy to do it. Might as well. So, all right, gorgeous soul. We did it. And until next time, I will see you at the crossroads. Thank you for listening to this episode of Susie's Enchanted Crossroads. I'd love to hear what resonated with you, so don't be shy. Tap the links in the show notes to send a message or share your thoughts. Make sure you leave a review because your voice helps this community grow and guides others to find this podcast and their magic. Want even more enchantment between episodes? Sign up for my weekly newsletter for rituals, energy tips, and exclusive updates. And don't forget to follow me on my socials on Instagram and TikTok for your daily doses of magic, silliness, and behind-the-scene moments. If you felt a little magic today, share this episode with a friend who might need it. And until next time, I will see you at the crossroads.